Can gym and yoga act as substitutes, or can they be used together?
They can't be used together. Like you can be a gym person and just be a gym person, which is okay. You can be a yoga person and just be a yoga person. That's okay.
Have you met people who've had ailments that yoga has helped?
You can still be any religion you are or no religion and still do yoga.
Yeah. Awesome. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear listeners and viewers. Welcome back to yet another episode of Beauty Lines Podcast. Thank you for being with us. Today we are joined by another lovely guest, Mrs. Odur, the wife of my mentor and someone I hold in very high regard, Jagero Odur. So I will let her introduce herself.
Hi. Government name, Julie Auma Majale. I also have the honor of being Jagero's wife, popularly known as Dialogues with Jagero. But yeah, so yeah, me and him tukaingizana box. Then, one thing led to another, got married. Here we are.
I wish I could ask you about that story.
Yeah, you can ask. It's fine.
Alikuingiza jibo.
Actually, I'm not sure. Nilijikuta kama niko. I woke up and I was like,
This box.
nice though. And then I just stayed. I just never left.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but we were friends for a long time before that. So we were just around each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a good thing to start out as friends because at the time we started getting to know each other, it wasn't about, and I think it's something I've said before somewhere else, it wasn't about trying to put your best foot forward. When you're dating somebody, you're like, I need to be like this, I need to be like this, I need to vibe how. At that time, you didn't really care about what this other person thought. So they saw a more
authentic side
of you. Yeah, and because you aren't looking at them as a potential anything.
Yeah.
So when I started looking at it as a potential something, we had already been friends, we had a relationship going for years and years and years. So I think it was an easy transition for us. And hop, skip, jump. Yes, we went to the ages and we are known by the government of Kenya.
In the record.
Yes, in the records.
How is Maya?
Maya is good. She is creative. She's very, very much like her father. Very, 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 very creative. Very loving, yes. This is my very biased, non-biased opinion. Watch out for her. She's going to be doing great, great things.
Oh, wow. I mean, she should be. I wonder, she should be. With parents like you guys.
By the way, a lot of people say yes, but I think we are very chill as parents, I think. Like there are things that are like the non-negotiables, of course, every parent has. You just want to raise a person who won't end up to be a serial killer or just spoil people's lives willy-nilly like that. I think that's the goal. Like they stay alive, one. They grow up to be good people. They don't end up hurting other people.
Yeah.
I feel those three, I'm like, okay, we did something. Yeah. And then over and above, we let her choose her life and how she wants to live it.
Yeah. She's very lucky. You guys are really amazing humans. You have very warm vibes. Thank you as well. So tell us more about yourself.
More about myself. I'm a human being. Thankfully. Yeah, I'm not an AI deep fake. Although that's something an AI deep fake would say. But yeah. So I'm a human being. I find it weird answering that question.
Okay, I guess it's when people ask that question, they mean, what do you do?
What do you do?
Because we identify ourselves with what we do a lot.
Okay, what do I do? I live. No, but in all honesty, what do I do? So I teach yoga.
Yes.
I do the online works. Of course, I am a mother and a wife and all those other roles. I'm also a friend. I'm a firm believer in all things pili pili. I support that. I propose that. And I think I'm a person who thinks or who believes that it's important to at least attempt, I think, to try and leave a mark on the world and in a good way. Yes.
Do you use pili pili to kill germs?
No.
Do you know that's a belief? Some people think that pili pili kills germs.
Wait, how?
Now you know.
Explain. No. Tell me. Explain
It's
to me.
a theory. It's a
On a
theory
chemical
that-
level, how are we doing
No,
that?
chemical. It's just someone who asked a question. Sometime back, I was in India, and then someone asked, "Do you think Indians put a lot of pilipili in their food?" Or is it they were told, ama they were making that hypothesis?
Actually, let me just tell you about pilipili has many therapeutic effects. I don't know about the killing germs part, but I've forgotten the chemical active, the thing that makes it pilipili. Unajua ni
active
utamu wako pilipili ni kuashwa.
Yeah.
So that. So apparently it's the releasing of endorphins, and that's very good. And actually, if I'm not wrong, I remember reading this somewhere, and please fact check me if I am spreading misinformation, that it has more vitamin C than oranges.
Oh,
Hii
interesting.
pilipili yetu hii za red za nini? Yes, they have more vitamin C than oranges, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Let me say allegedly.
Confirm.
We shall confirm. We shall confirm. But yeah. And also, it's just, pilipili ni tamu. It makes all things good.
If it's not in excess. I'd like to eat your food.
Balance.
Alafu ni kushu kama.
Kitu ni inaitwa balance.
Hey.
Yes, because you don't want your mouth to be on fire that you cannot function.
You know now that I'm in the Indian with them a lot, they put so much pilipili that it overpowers even the other.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Same.
I don't like that.
Thank you.
However, nataka kuashwa. One, ndio nataka kuashwa. But I also want to feel other things.
Exactly.
Yes.
Should be the point.
Yes. But I feel in some places they do that, even like with the Indians. So, non-sponsored. So, chapati. So me and Ko always order this thing, paneer tikka masala, and he complains it's too much chili. Me, I'm like, they haven't even put enough. They haven't started putting the chili.
I think I need to test it and then get back to you on that.
Paneer tikka masala. I would say wait till the offer because they are quite on the yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
But it's nice.
I will try it.
But it's nice.
Because I love Indian food.
Yes.
Cool. Now let's go back to yoga, which is actually why we came. Please tell us about yoga. And I'll ask some of the other questions.
Okay. What do I tell you about yoga? Yoga is awesome. I believe everyone should do yoga. Yes. For me, it started out with, again, like many things, being influenced by my best friend. Shout out Sharon. So what happened was, I was, way back in the before times, many moons ago, my idea of like wellness and being active and caring for my health was going dancing at the club. That was the beginning and end of that was me. Then I was like, hey, last time, we're starting families, we're doing what. And the thing people don't tell you about pregnancy is how sometimes that thing, pregnancy or rather evolution, I think as somebody who's gone through that, evolution was just like, it's about the next generation. If you make it, good luck. Yeah, about these other ones. So for me, what happened is there's should I say a condition? We have a condition. The mental fans will know. But yeah, so there's this thing where the ab muscles separate to make space for the growing child. Yeah, so now you see the ab muscles and they're in this section. And then there's like, if you've ever looked like an anatomical drawing, there's like the white stuff, the fascia that connects the different parts. So that slowly separates in some cases to make space for the child,
Yes.
So in some people, when that happens, it takes time. Sometimes it doesn't fully fuse back, or it takes time to fuse back, which is why I think why a lot of people do like the wraps after they've given birth and I'm assuming. But yeah, so for me that happened. So it has a very technical term that I don't trust myself. Diastasis recti.
I think I know it. There's a time, that one.
Hallelujah. So yeah, anyhow, so I had that after having Maya, and then it was like, okay, so now I have this hole in my stomach. I already have the baby. I already have all this is happening. All your hormones are like, whatever. We need to feed this baby. We need to protect this child.
Yeah.
So all the evolution did its thing. And then what I realized is again with, and I don't know if any other new mothers do this, because all the new mothers around me, same was up. It's you don't sleep well. And part of that is because you have a little one that you're looking out for. And two is that you're always like, are they alive? Are they there? oh, I need to go and do this. Oh, I need to go and do this. So even when they're sleeping, you're doing other things. Because when they sleep is your time to do other things. And then when you want to do other things, you can't do other things because now they're up and about.
Yeah.
So the sleep was not giving. And now, so Sharon was like, hey, babe, you need to sleep. I was like, yeah. She's like, so you try yoga. Yoga will make you sleep. I was like, yoga will make me sleep. Fire. I'm going to do it. So, you go on the YouTubes as one does.
Yes, we all do.
YouTube has all the answers to all the world's problems.
Yes.
So, yeah, I went on YouTube and I found a postpartum yoga, blah, blah, and I was like, yeah, let me do that. And then later on, that became, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling nice. I'm doing this. I started sleeping. Yes. And then I was like, oh, this is an awesome thing. Where in Kenya can I do that? Because also I had the idea that yoga is for, very blonde, white, thin people.
It's true, it has a time.
It looked like it had a time. The allegations are not being defeated, but yes, and this is no shade to people who look like that and are doing yoga. But yes, this is what I imagined yoga was. So I was like, even to find somebody here in Kenya, a Kenyan teaching yoga, doing yoga, I was like, first of all, Sharon, you found it from the internet. So I know they are African or they are black teachers on the internet. Here within, where are they? So again, go on the Googles. I found a class. At the time, it was called Africa Yoga Project. And now they were doing 3 classes every lunchtime.
Which year
classes. Is this? This is 2016.
Oh, just that.
Yes, 2016. So, yeah. And then I was like, oh, there's a place here you can do yoga. Google the company, African teachers, Kenyan teachers. I was like, yeah, I have to go. I made a mistake of showing up on a Tuesday at lunchtime. Tuesdays at AYP lunchtime are advanced yoga classes. What that means is, contrary to popular belief, it doesn't mean that you're doing all the tricks and flips and all those things and all the back bends, all the Instagram things. But it's just basically advancing or trying to move your practice from where it is, like taking a risk, so to speak. So even if there are those like that I say these are like for advanced yogis, this is an advanced class. Advanced class meaning you're trying to improve on your form, you're trying to do new things, you're trying to get into new variations, things like that. Essentially, it's just taking your own practice to the next level, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this. So I'm going to advanced yoga. And that day, there happened to be a lot of teachers in the class, which is something when I was typing, I didn't know, but now in retrospect. So I didn't realize all these people were also teachers. So I'm coming in there, I'm seeing people doing, the headstands, the handstand, dropping to wheel, all the flows, all that. I'm like, what the devil is going on here? What's going on? I just had a baby. I don't need all this. But yeah, again, at the same time, again, with most things, it was a very tough and very scary and terrible experience, but also one of my best classes I've ever had.
Interesting.
Yes, because there were the things I could do.
Yes.
The things I couldn't do, I was just like, And I remember the teacher said, there's no such thing as watch pose. And I was like,
ouch.
But anyway, we did the do. But yeah, and then the class was encouraging. There was time for like partner work to help somebody. And it was all that. So it was a really, really awesome environment. And then also to have this mindset that yoga is for other people and other places, not necessarily for me, even though it's a tool that's helping me.
Yeah.
To come into a space where I'm seeing people like myself doing the thing, I was like, we are now here.
We are home.
We are now here. Lo and behold, not only did it become something that I was using for my healing, it also became my daily bread because after that class, I found out that they were hiring.
Interesting.
And so I applied.
Interesting.
If this is the environment, if this is the vibes, I'm ready to join today.
Like that.
And so in August of that year, I joined AYP as like in the academy side, like now the 9 to 5. That's never looked back. I went there 2017. I did my teacher training with them, and I've just continued growing as a student, as a yoga teacher, and here we are. Many years later.
What I love, there is this misconception about yoga, which I know we have all had, that it is demonic.
Oh yeah, niliwekea mkono.
Tell me about
prayers.
Tell me about that experience.
Yes. I don't know who remembers this, but once upon a time, way again in the before times, like this must have been early 80s or 90s. Okay, not early 80s because I wasn't around in the early 80s. Must have been early 90s. Because I remember seeing this article. It was a big thing splashed. I can't remember it was National Standard. It was splashed across 3 pages. devil worship in Kenya, how the devil is coming to get us in Kenya. And they had all these different ways that the demonic forces get your children, get your families here in Kenya. One of those things was yoga.
Really? That's where that came from?
Yeah.
I
I
always
don't know. Me, I just
wondered.
remember seeing that article. And then imagine seeing that article and then be like, so I'm now a yoga teacher. Everybody welcome. Let's start with breath. So full circle moment, I would say. But yeah, so it came from that. And a lot of people still hold that. And I think my personal suspicion about why people think that it is devil worship or it's like a religion and all those things, I think it's because of, again, another misconception we have in yoga, that yoga is, again, a lot of what we know as yoga has been done, a lot of work has been done, like the sutras and everything were written in India, in Sanskrit. So you imagine this community has done so much for yoga, has grown that yoga practice so far and so far. So now we always associate that with whatever is happening in India. Okay, they worship many gods over there.
Idols.
They're doing all that. So it's like, okay. So does that mean when you do yoga and I'm saying, oh, I'm chanting, I'm doing all these things, I'm invoking, which are gods that I don't know and things like that, saying things I don't know. So it became a real issue. So even for me trying to, because for me, I'm an Anglican. And I've also gone through my whole journey of like figuring out what God means for me in my life and how I want to express that or how I want to live that. And so there was a time I was like, maybe I don't want to do this God thing, or maybe I want to experience it a different way. Maybe I want to be a Muslim. Maybe I want to stay here. Maybe I want to. So I shopped around and did all that. And in my personal view, I feel like, to quote a comedian,
What we should do.
I mean, they do very brilliant. They say very brilliant things without realizing it. Yes. But I think it was Eddie Griffin who said that we are always arguing about who is the messenger, and we are not thinking about did you get the message.
Nice.
So I mean, if you think as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he says that this is the way. Yes, and we say talk about Jesus, and we talk about the Buddha, and we talk about all these things. If you look at all these texts, all these messages, essentially, they're saying the same thing. There's an essence of enlightenment. There's an essence of meditation. There's an essence of the practice of the spirit and spirituality, the practice of self-denial, the practice of self-awareness and all these things. And there's all these things they're there in all of these things. But what is the core message? The message is the same. And I'm like, hey, maybe this message worked in this package over there. It worked here, like evolution.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, that's how I look at it. In terms of the debate about whether yoga is a religion, I don't believe it is, because in the yoga class we are in, there were Muslims in that class, there were Christians in that class, there were atheists in that class, there were all these things in that class, and we all came together to do this practice together.
Yes.
And then we left and lived our lives.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe some of the things I learned in that yoga classroom helped me have a better appreciation for my religion and my relationship with God because of it.
Nice.
Not necessarily that now I'm like, okay, guys, now I'm over here and I do whatever these things are. And for those who do that, again, no shade to them. I think for me, that was what my journey was. I don't consider yoga a religion at all. I consider it a spiritual practice. And those are two different animals.
It's true. And me being in the Hindu religion now, I can confirm that it's...
Tell people.
Confirm.
Let them know.
Yeah, that it's just a practice. It's a practice that we borrow to enhance our relationship with God. And I like that you mentioned sutras. I like that you know that. They are just scriptures that, and Patanjali's Yoga Sutras,
yes.
He specifically was giving the sutras for the practice of yoga. Peke. Then now these other things, the gods and everything is also separate. Completely separate.
Because I think in the sutras, yoga is only mentioned, is it once or twice? I think it's only like mentioned once or twice. And that's actually true, because if you think of, again, we are going into like, yes, Patanjali and the 8 limbs of yoga and all those things. The actual physical space where you're in the class moving your body is only one small, tiny bit of it. And I feel like we have, quote unquote, oversubscribed to this one thing and forgotten a lot of the others that are important as well.
Which will lead me to the next question. Paint for us that picture, how yoga manifests. For someone who doesn't know what it is, then what is it?
I mean, yeah, I think, well, first, I don't want to also play down the fact that, yes, that yoga is the physical part is a small part. It's an important part.
Very
Let me start
important.
that.
Yes.
Because how do you experience life? How do you go through life? In your body. So you start from your body. You start from what you can, from known to unknown. And so in my view, it's that you start with the practice and then you start realizing other things. So an example for me is that when I started getting on the mat, I started practicing yoga. I was like, I'm feeling this thing in my body. Oh, I'm feeling this thing in my body. Whereas there are times I would ignore the feelings that are happening in my body. The practice of yoga has made me become, or rather, made me more sensitive to it. I can't say I'm like in that full body awareness. It comes and goes. It's like waves and things like that. Sometimes on the mat, sometimes off the mat. But it's more like you. It's almost like you're getting a window. That's, I think, the best way I can describe it. It's like, okay, you want to understand something, and you're like, in fact, like, okay, like in this room. See, there's the person in the studio there, and then we are here. So imagine being the person in the studio watching yourself, and you're seeing, oh, I didn't know that's something, and now you realize it. Or I didn't know I hunch my shoulders like this a lot, so I start doing this. Or, oh, my breathing is a bit shallow when I do this, so I breathe deeper. And that's just like on the surface level, what's happening in your body. Then you start, because you are now aware of what is happening in your body, you now start to realize something. I'll go, oh, okay, these are my emotions. When I'm angry, I'm feeling this feeling in this place. When I'm scared, I'm feeling this feeling in this place. When this and this is happening, anxiety, I'm feeling this feeling in this place, which is why yoga as a therapeutic tool has been in many studies, has been found to be very successful. Because it's getting you aware of certain feelings, certain things, to be present with them. Because again, being present is, I think, a sense of awareness in the now. So that presence helps you a lot in realizing, oh, if I'm facing this similar situation, now that I know the feelings that are coming up and what's bringing these feelings up, I can better approach the same situation.
Yeah.
So for me, I think like yoga is a lot of that. So we start with the physical because that's what is available to us. You see, like, the known to unknown. And then you start getting to other things that you're aware of. There are many times, even on the mat, or rather when people are in class, I've felt this feeling before, where emotions have either come up or something just feels like, okay, my body has just, something has happened. And sometimes that's scary. And a lot of people, they come to their first yoga class and they feel that and they're like, I'm out. Bye. It's been real. It was fun. I loved it. I'm never coming back. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's, as long as that's a you decision, you've made that fully, fine. If you choose to come back, you're welcome to. We are not saying do go and never come back. But for a lot of people, they have certain things come up while they're practicing or as a result of their practice. Sometimes they run away from it. Sometimes they run into it. Sometimes they're just there with it. People have different reactions. But I think that when you are aware of where that is coming from, that's also important.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So it entails to break it even further down for someone who will probably heard about it, dismissed it because it was devil worship, but now it's like, maybe there's something here.
Yeah.
What does it entail? There is the asanas.
Yes. There's the asanas. Of course, there's the self-understanding. I know there are 8, and I don't know if I'll be able to cover all of them. But yes, so there is the physical practice. Yes, you move.
Where you move your head.
You take your hand here, take Nini, warrior 1, warrior 2, those ones.
Yeah.
So there's the physical positions, the asana. And then there is very, very important also is something called breath. Of course. And breath has a lot of connotations. It's like, breath of life, breathe, all those things. But yes, breath, a lot of people consider it as a life force. And manipulating that life force by manipulating your breathing is also a very scary place for many people. That's also a very healing place for many people. So there's breath. And then there's that self-study, that of looking at yourself and saying, oh, I've seen this, I've understood this. And then there's that of sitting and being present, meditation, where you're just, okay, I'm observing, I am here. Even, I wouldn't even say so much observing, so much as it is just being where you are in that present pace of time. I think, and that's something I just recently realized, by the way. Yes. And then of course, there are different types of meditation. Meditation on a thing or meditation on what, and there are tools to use for meditation. Like breath is a tool for meditation, but breath and meditation are 2 different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the self-study, I've said self-study, I've said breath, I've said yoga, I've said meditation. I'm forgetting 4 more.
No, it is They will
get to these ones. Self-study. Oh, and then there's also a state, or I think they call it, is it Diana? No, that's self-study. No, I'm really throwing them all over. But anyway, what is important? All these limbs, all these things that we do, all these things that are involved in yoga, those are like the four more obvious ones. Then they're the ones that are more internal. Yeah. And I think there are another four, but they're more internal.
We can check if you
Yes.
help.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Nope, it's not the one. It's not the one.
That AYP is the one that used to be held in Parklands.
Yes, at Diamond Plaza.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give the abridged version of all of these.
Yes.
Okay.
Feel free, you can read.
Sawa. Okay, so we already talked about asana, which is yoga. Yes. Then we have pranayama, which is the breath control breath. And then we have these names. Pratyahara. Yes. But it essentially means the withdrawal or sensory transcendence. And this is a state, this is when you're going through the meditation and self-study. It's like a combination of these two. Where you are, and that those people will be like, yeah, the people who meditate and float. I think that's what people think about when they think of like, yeah, all of that. But it's also it's almost like a kind of detachment where you are in your space, not necessarily independent of, but in a space of other things. Like, for example, I am here. There are mics, there's you, there are chairs, there's this plant, there's all these things here. And when I'm meditating, I'm situating myself in this space. But once I've situated myself in this space, I'm also aware that as much as I am part of it, I am also not of it. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Without getting without getting woo-woo.
Is it the same as observing? Being an observer?
Not necessarily, because observing means it's outside of you. You're observing that thing over there. I'm observing that chair. I'm observing that plant. Yeah. But there's that awareness of self in the space.
That's deep.
Yes, it is quite deep if you go at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now once you are in that, yes, that's now you get into now that concentration where you're in a focus mode. You're in, quote unquote, you're in the zone.
In the zone.
In the zone. Yes, that's actually the best thing. And when you're in the zone, you're entering that meditation phase. You see, all these things are going towards meditation. And once you're in the space of that meditation, you're now going to experience something we call bliss, the joy of the unity of all of that. And then aside with that, there are things we call the behaviors. Behaviors that govern our relationship with ourselves and the behaviors that govern our relationship with others or the environment. And there are those ones that are set for that. They also have their own little breakdowns. But it's like, for example, we talk about non-harming. And where you're like, you don't harm anyone. So in your mind, you're like, okay, I'm not hitting anyone. I'm not abusing anyone. But at the same time, you're holding bad feelings, quote unquote, like the evil eye. You're like throwing bad vibes that way. That's a form of harm. Yeah. And not only you're throwing it out, you're throwing it to yourself, where is that negative self-talk of like, yeah, I am harming myself. So practice of non-harm is also about how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, and things like that. Another example of how we react with our environment, there is, I think it's called, Saucha, cleanliness. Where you're like, okay, yes, there's cleanliness. You're like, okay, yes, I sweep the house, I do that. But cleanliness of your thought, cleanliness of your actions. Are you doing something? Are you helping? Like, you're walking in town. Are you giving this person money because you want them to feel you're a good person? Or are you giving them because like you recognize they're a human like you and you're like, just let me help out where I can. The cleanliness of that act, that it doesn't have any, about it.
Malice or
malice or whatever, like things like
the intention is purity.
on the word.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, things like that. And then of course, also non-harm is where a lot of people get the thing about, people being vegans, vegetarians, because they're like, I'm not going to also harm an animal.
Animals.
You see?
Interesting.
Yes.
Can you talk more about that?
Oh, I mean, yes.
Are you vegan, vegetarian?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I am situationally that, depending on where I am. Because me, if the food is yummy, I'm fine.
Yeah. But just help us understand that.
But yeah, so it's
logic.
because if you have to cause harm for someone else for you to be alive. And this one we talk about it in terms of essentially the more louder voices are in terms of climate change and veganism and vegetarianism. So why do I feel that my life is more important than the life of, say, for example, what do we eat a lot? A chicken. Big fan. So I'm not sure I
like this because it's
am
biased.
sure, yes,
I love it.
Because I'm not sure as a yogi if I can stand on my yogi platform and still eat chicken. So yeah, I leave that for there. But let's take that example. Chicken is awesome. So it's supporting me. Why do I believe that my life as a human is more important than the life of the chicken? And I choose to take the life of the chicken to enrich my own life. And to a point where and I think there are people who do that, like being aware or like acknowledging the life that has been passed to support yours. People, the animal lovers and, the people who practice halal understand. So you get that. How do I honor that life? Do I take it and say honor, or do I not take it? And I say, hey, you have just as much right to be on this earth as I do. And because we say that yoga is unity, we say that we are all connected. Because there's that saying that the biggest lie we've ever told ourselves is that we are somehow separate.
Yes.
So if my life force is connected to that of a chicken, why do I feel that I need to take that for my life force? If that chicken was not there, would I still be alive? And that's part of the reason why many, many yogis, especially those who are, I don't want to say like deep in it, like, I don't know. I don't know what term to use. But many yogis who are practicing non-harm are saying, okay, no, I will not. I will not kill an animal. I will not wear leather. I will not do this. I will not contribute to climate change like this, that, and the other, because I am cognizant that I do not want to harm the earth. I do not want to harm another animal. I do not want to harm another being. Yes.
Awesome. I the more you speak, the more I realize that yoga is just trying to help us in life, in our way of, it's a lifestyle, and it's enhancing our lifestyle, which would lead me to the next question. Since you started practicing it, do you reckon it has affected your life, especially conventional life, like at work, so that it's not separate, like I'm a spiritual person?
Oh, no, totally. But
I
truly believe that yoga changed my life. I don't know what kind of person I would be if I hadn't started that yoga practice. I honestly don't know. I think I would have been way more of a terrible. I think I would be a very terrible person, I think. But that's my personal belief. But yeah, in the day-to-day, like, coming back to myself again, I'm talking about myself a lot.
Which is the point.
Okay, so when I was growing up, or rather when I was born with bronchitis. So breath and chest and has always been a thing for me. And so thankfully with bronchitis, at some point you kind of grow out of it. But for a long time, me, the hospital and the nebulizer were very close. We were buddies, we were tight. And so I remember like it had gotten to the point I knew how to put my drip on myself. Like I was that much of a regular visitor. Yes. But because I understood the importance of breath, like literally not being able to breathe, breath work is one of the most impactful sides of the yoga practice for me. Because that is one of the things that has helped regulate me a lot.
Wow.
Yes. So you come in, you're taught all this breath work, all these things like, you breathe like this, your inner nostrils, like, I can manipulate my breath. I am no longer a quote unquote slave of it in the sense that you are unable to or you cannot reach certain depths. It's like, I can manipulate this, I can live through this, I can get on the other side of this. So having breath work in a class was really a thing for me. That was like the moment it was like, I'm either going to run from this or stay here. And it was about breath. So I think that practice, especially for breath work, getting into the moment where I can just sit and focus on my breath, the most simple, mundane thing you never think about. Who else? You're not just sitting thinking like, nobody's thinking of like what you're not doing that.
Yeah.
But again, there's that awareness. It's like, okay, you sit with your breath is going in and out of your nose. It's something that happens automatically without your awareness. And now you're becoming aware to it, which means it opens more awareness for you. So
Yeah.
yes, and I think it's helped me a lot in terms of not only just regulating my own emotions, but also realizing when I'm also taking things, how do I say? Also realizing there are points in life where I have responded in a way that I shouldn't have, and now I'm becoming aware of it. For example, let me take an example with Jagger, for example. So Jagger is a very bold person. He's very out there. He tells it to you like it is. And that's something I'm thankful for, because at least I'm not worried of, hey, is this guy lying to me? So when he says something, even if it hits me the wrong way in my ear, I'm like, at least he's honest. And initially, my initial reaction would be like, all the yes would come out. And sometimes they come out. But it's also that thing of like, to come back to myself and say, okay, why is what he's saying hitting me like this? And so I take a few breaths and I don't raise my voice, or sometimes I raise my voice. And then I'm like, this is why, because this is how it's hit me, because I am aware of that, thanks to slowing down and being cognizant of like, okay, this is what is happening. And so for me, breath work, I think, has been the biggest impact for me. And then also in yoga, it's also like, there's a lot of things you're capable of that you're not aware you're capable of. And so sometimes just holding a pose doesn't mean you have to hold it the longest or the most elegant in the class. But for you to prove it to yourself that, I can do this to this level at this point in time. Pat on the back, I did that.
And you break bound subconsciously.
Yes, and you're like, I can do this. Yeah. And I know, okay, this is my limit, past this is pain and this is bad. But here it's like, this is growth and this is what. So it's like finding that sweet spot of you're not kind of harming yourself just to be like, but you're also like, I'm breaking a boundary, knowing that, a barrier, knowing that, I can do this. This I am able to do. I can handle this thing. And then you move on.
Yeah.
So, knowing that, I think the thing is like, I am capable, I think was also a big thing for me. Yes. That, and I think when it comes to meditation, I always thought that meditation is a very woo-woo thing. It's very like, it's for the crystals people, no shade by the way. It's like, you just, and then you just meditate and, life just becomes awesome. Actually, no, that's not what it was. It was like, okay, I am here and I'm getting distracted. Like the thing that my mind wants to do is run from being, and this is actually part of like where even Vipassana was very hard, because I was like, I'm supposed to sit with my own thoughts for 10 days. Yeah. For who? For why? That's a very scary. The mind is a very dangerous neighborhood to hang out in.
That's true.
Yeah. So you hang out in your own mind long enough and you're like, oh, wow, how much of the things that are happening in my life are because of my brain's own machinations of what is going on, and how much of it is the actual truth of what is going on. So, yeah.
Interesting. And how does that translate to your 9 to 5?
I mean, it makes office politics a whole lot easier to manage, because I'm like, this is not a me thing. Like if I read an email, actually, there's another day, somebody wrote me an email and then they put something in red. And let me tell you, the way I read that thing, I was like, no, I'm not going to respond now. I waited, I closed my laptop, I breathed, I went, I drank water, I came back, I opened. Then I read it again. I was like, okay, this is what you want. So I responded. Otherwise, it would have been, as I said before, that corporate lingo that is very, very that.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then also, more specifically, I think with my daughter, because even when she's having big emotions, and and then I don't know why we do this, and I'm also guilty of it as a parent. We expect children to be more grown up than they are yet they're children. So I'm like, can you just calm down? I'm like, no, this is the first time this is happening to me. Why can't I cry? And, so like even it's that thing of like, okay, how about we don't shout, but you can cry if you want to. So it's like those kinds of conversations.
Nice.
Yeah, things like that.
Conscious parenting.
Is that what it's?
That's what they call it. But we can always use the words and put them together.
And put them together. Conscious parent. Yeah, that sounds very fancy. Okay.
It's actually a thing. That is so cool. Man, I have very, very many questions.
Okay.
So on the healing, on the bronchitis, does that mean anyone with like asthma and people who are sick? Have you met people who've had ailments that yoga has helped?
I wouldn't say it has helped. I think, like I said, it's a sense of control. And as somebody, again, for somebody who's never had an asthma attack or who has never had to go through that thing where your lungs are not cooperating with you, it's very hard to explain to this person how scary of a place that is. And so I wouldn't go as far, because again, I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it can improve it, but it improves it, at least for me, it improved my relationship with that time of my life. Because I was like, hey, I can manipulate my breath. My breath does not manipulate. Yes, it does, but Yeah, so it's more of like my relationship with my breath is different now because of the breath work.
So you were able, so someone with asthma should try yoga.
Should try yogic breathing. And this is what I mean. I don't want you to go and start to breathe through, I don't know at which temperatures and where you can't. No.
Get a guide for sure.
Get a guide, sure. Do it in a safe environment with somebody who knows what they are doing. And then we always say this, you start from where you are. If you cannot take a deep breath to save your life, if you're having pneumonia, if you're having a bronchitis attack, you need your inhaler, please use that.
Yes.
When you're in a position when you're calm, observe your breath. You can now even feel like, oh, if I'm doing this breathing, this is what happens in my body when I'm doing. So if I can relax that, because again, sometimes it's the panic that stops us. When you're having an asthma attack or you're having a knee where you are unable to breathe for whatever reason, there's a very real panic because you need that to stay alive.
That's true.
So there's a very real visceral panic there. And so if you can be able to be aware of your body's reactions to that panic, and so now you're having those short bursts or that not expanding where like you're breathing, you're not aware you're breathing and you're holding your breath unknowingly, to become aware of that and then slowly exhale, slowly take that power and that comfort of like, oh, I can calm the panic, I can calm this to an extent.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
How is your relationship with God now?
I like to think we're tight. Yes, I mean, the point where I like to think we're tight, although I could do more in that relationship. I'm the red flag in that relationship between me and God.
Has this practice? So you said Anglican. That's where my mind is at. So
yes,
Anglican now.
Anglican is the religion.
Okay.
Yes, and I think I've learned to separate my relationship with God and my relationship with my religion, and that's like our own personal journey of like other drama. But I feel like right now my relationship with God is more of that. I'm able to call myself out. Yes. Which is also not an easy thing to do. It's very hard. It is very uncomfortable to own your own nonsense. To be like, hey, you'll see, that was a bit much. You didn't need all that. Yes. So for me, it's been helped me to become more aware of like, hey, I am calling out to God. God, help me do this. Oh God, I am praying for this breakthrough. But to wake up at 6 and start writing that proposal, to put your actions where your intentions are, I think that's been the most thing.
Yeah.
And doesn't replace, and then it's also been made me aware, is like, is my relationship with God transactional? Why am I always praying when I need something? It's like, God, just do this thing for me. God, it's like, I don't know if it's only me, but a lot of people I feel, or rather I was doing that a lot. I approached prayer as a shopping list. God, I need 1, 2, 3 things, and God is the provider. He will give me those things. And we talk about it in the sense of faith, but we look at God as the person that gives me the things. And if I pray hard enough and I do all these things, I'll get all the things that I want.
Yeah.
But again, the Bible also says that you must also follow the will of God. And the will of God does not always align with your own will.
That's true.
So when that happens, are you going to be the Christian and say, yes, it's God's will? Or are you going to be like, no, God, I really want this. And when you don't get it, what happens to your relationship
with Him?
And when you do get it, what happens to your relationship? So it's helped me change like how I approach prayer in I also just want to spend time with God. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, speak to me. I want to hear you. Those are sometimes, and yes, it is still a request, but I'm like, I also want I don't want to be the person who's always like, I want. Because how would you deal with somebody like that in your life? Who's just, I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's changed how I approach my conversations with God, how my prayer life is, how I live life in awareness of like, oh, is this something that is honoring God? Is this something that is making me feel off? Like, yeah, what is that? And then it's also helped me look at certain situations of like things that we do. I'm like, why do we do that? And so that's why there are things that's why I say there's the religion and then there's my relationship with God, which I think two different things. Yeah. So there's religion, is my relationship with God, and can be viewed from the lens of religion. Yes. They're not totally separate. They're connected in some ways, but I look at them as different parts of my life. My spirituality, my relationship with God, and my religion.
But I can safely say you identify as Christian.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, I'm Christian.
I love that.
I believe in the Jesus. I like that story.
Yeah.
Very fun story. The best story ever told. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
I like that. I guess for emphasis, it's still just trying to cement the fact that you can be Christian and you can still do yoga.
Yes,
I'm just
no,
still there.
very right. You can be Christian and still do yoga. You can be Muslim and still do yoga.
Yeah.
In fact, there are places like I remember at AYP where they were doing classes in, I can't remember, was it Somalia or was it Sudan, and they had Muslim people in the class, and they were like, oh, there are poses that we don't feel comfortable with, and we are like, take them out. Don't do those ones. Like if it's something that in your religion says don't do this in this way, don't. Yeah. So I think it's also that sense of discernment that just because a teacher has told you, and I don't spoil it for teachers. Just because a teacher has said do this pose, and there's something in you that is, whether it is conditioning or whether it is whatever it is, if it's something that's like you also don't have to do it. By the way, that's why there are variations. It's not just for the physically, like if it's a physical thing, like for example, if I now have a knee injury, there's a different way I will do down dog.
Okay.
If I have an ankle injury, there's a different way I will do a standing pose. All these things are different. But it's not just for the physical poses, because again, yoga is also sometimes that journey inward. Same thing for people who've gone through trauma. There are things they don't feel comfortable doing in class because they feel exposed. So no, you don't do that. And you make those modifications, you make those variations in class to support the journey of that person. So yes, you can still be any religion you are or no religion and still do yoga.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. I feel like, do you feel like we've exhausted the question of yoga? Or is something?
Do I want to go there? I don't know.
What? Tell me.
I don't know. I think it's the over-sexualization of yoga I have a problem with.
Is it over-sexualized?
Girl.
I did know that. Please, let's go there. Because maybe it was just demons and... Tell me.
I made a mistake. I went on TikTok. And then I opened yoga. And all I was looking at was camel toes. Legit. Let me not lie to you. I was like, what is this? Because I was like, yeah, I'm in my content creation era. I want to see. And I remember we were sitting with my friends. We were like, let's start creating content. Let's start posting, blah, blah, blah. Let's do CG, YouTube, whatever, da, da, da. So we wanted to search and see what are people posting? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Mistake.
Oh.
So yeah, so there's that part of it where people have taken it to be like, oh, it's like they've reduced yoga to such a thing. It's all not sound like an elitist. I think they have, in some ways, a lot, and I think also me have been guilty of that in some ways. We've made yoga like a means to an end instead of just a thing you do. It's a support. It's not something, and it's okay to have just physical goals. Don't. It's not shade for that. It's okay to have physical goals like, hey, I want to grow stronger, so I'm doing yoga. I want to do, yes. The thing I find it is when somebody takes that and then they twist it around to be like, yeah, yoga is all that. Like, and it's a fun thing. Yes, it has improved sex lives everywhere. Wonderful. A good blood flow will do that for you, whether it's yoga or not. But just minimizing it to like, yeah, yoga people, you're so chill. Yoga people, yeah, you're all just sexy and you're all this. I'm in that phase. I'm in that phase where I'm like, I'm not sure whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. But right now my feeling is like on the other way. Yes, because even like, and as well also for yoga teachers, when you look at yoga teachers, I'm trying to support your growth. So please don't reduce me to only a purely sexual human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Oh God, humans have a way of taking
everything.
And
I'm
just-
telling you, the lizard brain is doing overtime, you guys. Overtime.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still a weird place for me because I want to respect everyone's journey with yoga, because even if it starts that way for you, I hope you actually explore enough to see on the other side of it.
Because it's such a sacred art. I don't even call it art. It's such a sacred practice that is so much more than.
It's so much. That's what I'm saying. It's so much more than. And so I don't want to guilt the people who are looking at it only from a physical level. I don't want to guilt those people. But I want you to understand that even if you are looking at it from a physical level, understand it is more than physical. I think that's the thing. It's like knowing that, hey, me, I'm only here so I can get guns. And that's okay. But understand, you're here to get guns, but yoga is much bigger than guns.
Yeah.
You get my point?
Yes. It's very clear. And can gym and yoga act as substitutes, or can they be used together?
They can be used together. Like you can be a gym person and just be a gym person, which is okay. You can be a yoga person and just be a yoga person. That's okay.
Will
do both.
Will they give me the same benefits?
It depends on what you're looking for. You see, the goal is, what are you looking for? So a lot of people who are like heavily into the gym look at yoga as like the restorative, active rest type thing. And there's yoga specifically for that, where it's more of a, I wouldn't say relaxed. It's more of a very purposeful, like, full body stretching of sorts. Yes. And there is like the yoga that's very focused on that. Restorative yoga, actually. So you're holding poses for a bit longer, you're stretching and all those things. So the people who are like heavily into gym, like, bodybuilders, blah, blah, all these people. So as part of the rest days, because they don't want to lose a day of doing nothing, they do a day of like quote unquote active rest.
Yes.
So where you go and do a yoga class where you're like, okay, this is just for rest, restoration as part of the healing process.
Nice.
There are those who look at it like that. Then there are those who are like, okay, at the gym, I can only do to X level. At yoga class, I can also do to X level. And there are styles of yoga for that. And all of that, whether you're doing yoga purely, so like, and then that's why there are the different styles of yoga. So you have like the vinyasa yoga where you're moving with breath, and that can be that covers like a wide range. So when we think of yoga, we think of like the base form, like hatha yoga. And then now we have different variations building on that, or using those poses or adapting those poses to different things. So yeah, that's why we have the different styles of yoga. So some are very, very physically intensive. A lot of people think that you go to yoga class and you just sit and chill, you cross your legs and you're just there and you just vibe. And there's the yoga where that happens. Then there's the yoga that's, okay, it's a bit more active. I can do one or two things. I might not break a sweat, but it's like, okay, I did something on the mat. There's that. Then there's the yoga where like you go to class and then when you come out, you're like drenched in sweat and there was no heat in there.
Yeah.
Yes, because actually there's a what word should I use? There's a word where in yoga where you're generating your own internal heat, where with your breath, with your focus, with your gaze, with your alignment, you are actually generating an internal heat, and we call it a purifying heat.
Nice.
Yes. So there's that. You're actually just getting hot and sweaty, like legit sweating, but it's also a heat of discipline, of staying in a pose and things like that. Exactly. But yes, and then there's very vigorous. You're over there, you're doing chaturanga, and then you're up there and you go and you do the other thing and you do all of that. At this point, even like there's yod yoga where it's like, where I like to, okay, I hope Danielle, please don't kill me. It's like if CrossFit and yoga had a baby, that's yod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's more relaxed where you're just laying down and you're just in a meditative state and you're very aware of your surroundings. And there's all these types. So what are your goals? Let's start there. What are your goals? And then now then the practice is now made for you, or the sequence or the style of yoga is what you choose. If you are like a more active person, you want to do that. If you've been in the gym a lot and maybe you've had an injury and you need to go back to building your muscle from scratch, maybe start from yoga first, then go to the gym. Bending. So it depends on what your situation is and things like that. So I fully believe that you can build a very full and fulfilling practice just from the gym or just from yoga.
That's cool. And another thing, because I'm thinking I have certain yoga practices personally, and it takes me so much willpower to do them. And listening to you I'm realizing the beauty of having a community, to have someone to help you
Yeah.
It's because kwa nyumba yangu peke yangu, God.
It's difficult. It's very hard.
Difficult is an understatement.
It's very, very hard.
Because I know the benefits. I don't even know Babaji Surya Namaskar.
No.
Sun worship.
Sun worship. Oh, okay. Yes.
Sun worship.
Yeah.
It's very intensive. Like you just do
sun
five.
is. Yeah.
You just do 5 rounds and you're
So you're using Sanskrit?
Where?
Because I was like, what did you say? I was like, the sun is. Yes. Okay, yes. We call it sun salutations. Yes.
Sun salutation. It's very intensive. It's for good for cardio, good for everything.
Oh, yeah. You should try the Nini.
intense.
Actually, we should do that.
We should.
International Yoga Day, we usually try to do like 108.
What?
Yes, you had me.
I can't even do 5. Maybe I tell myself, no, I'm a girl. Let me just do 3.
No, it's very. I'm not saying you have to do 108. I think it's more of like, the numerology of the number 9 or something like that.
Yes.
But yeah, like there are people we've worked with. Like I remember there was a lady we started with way back, and same like you. Because sun salutations are hard. Let's not try to knee the allegations. It takes you somewhere. Yeah. So yes. We started with her only being able to do 2 per class, and I think almost, if not a year and a half in, we were able to do a full 108 sun salutation class.
That would be my greatest
it's a progression. Let me tell you, it's a progression. You start from where you are. It is possible for a lot of people. It's just that when you hear that 108, you're like, it's enough for me.
One thing I know for a fact is every time I do it, for the days I wake up and drag myself out of bed and do it, I have the best days. I have so much energy. Everything. It's like my body resets itself and I'm born again. And it has youth benefits. Yoga
you keep your spine alive. You're only as old as your spine. So I think I hear they say, yeah. I'm actually saying that in a lot of places, not just in yoga, but you're only as old as your spine. That's what they say.
I didn't know that. But I know that when I do yoga, I actually look. It's like I regress in age. I look.
Although that makes sense. There were a lot of people at AYP who are telling us their age, and we are like, why are you lying?
It's a thing.
Yeah. Apparently.
Forever young. Yes. If for nothing else. For those ones down to age, it's really true.
Yes.
And then the last question I had was postpartum for the women who want to go back to their bodies. Whether yoga can help. Like if that was a goal, is that something that you would advise?
Okay, this is, I think, a personal thing. I don't know if you ever go back to your body. Like, I think you can go back in size. Or even like get smaller, whichever the case, depending on your goals. But it takes a while. Like, even for just your body to be like, where we had this thing happened. Were you guys here? We grew a person. Were you guys aware? We grew a person. So yeah, the things have to get back. Organs have been mushed out of the way. A lot goes on, by the way. A lot goes on. Yes. Movies lie to us that like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant.
I know.
And for those who have such pregnancies,
I know someone who had just
wonderful.
Her life is like never happened.
No, I feel like I could get the benefits of pregnancy without being pregnant. But moving on. So for postpartum people who are coming back and they're like, okay, I want to, feel healthy again. I want to feel in control of my body again, blah, blah, all of that. Yes, I think postpartum, because there is a specific postpartum yoga. There are specific sets of poses, sequences, and things that you follow. Even prenatal, actually. So it's not just like for before, like even if you've already started your yoga practice, even before you have a baby or before you're pregnant, there is the prenatal, what you do while you have carrying the baby.
Oh.
Yes. And then, of course, there are poses, you also stay away from that. And then also postpartum, once you've had your child, what happens? So yeah, I definitely support yoga. Again, with everything, whether you're a gym person and you're like, okay, because again, we always say like, pregnancy is not a sickness. Yes, it's very traumatic, but it's also not a sickness. You can still do a whole lot while you're pregnant, given that you're healthy enough to do them. Do them. Go hike, go do whatever it is, CrossFit, whatever it is. But when you're coming back, pace yourself. The thing we need to understand is pacing. And some people do the snapback like that. Wonderful. If that is not you, take your time. Because your body has been through a whole lot. So acknowledge that na ipeleke pia na speed yake.
Yeah.
Yes, but I definitely advocate for postpartum yoga. Awesome. Somebody who actually did it.
Yes. Yeah, because that's where
highly
your journey began.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Yes. For me, it was very good because it helped me build strength in my core. Yes, my the thing fused back, by the way.
It did.
I forgot to say. Yes, it fused back. Over time, I didn't even have to wrap up or anything. Yes, it fused back on its own. And I was able to actually build real core strength. So, yeah. Which is important.
Wow. I'm happy for you. Actually, that was has been when I learned about that place we did not get the name for. People should tell us
Yes,
what it's
that's
called.
that guy.
Yeah. And then that was my greatest horror. Like, itarudi.
Oh,
So
for
now
some
if
people,
it
for
goes
some
back, that's
people,
good.
it doesn't fuse back correctly and they need surgery. For some people,
God.
it just takes time.
Yeah.
Like for people, it's just a factor of time.
Yeah.
For some people, it's like it goes really overboard where fusing back together on its own is not in it. So sometimes people need surgery. It depends. Yeah, different situations, different pregnancy. Every baby has its own whatever. So yeah, you can get, because again, it's also similar. Like, because if you imagine somebody who's also had like a CS, for example, you're going back to, I mean, they literally cut the baby out of you. It's also, it has its own things. People always like to shit on people who had CS. Thing is hard, bana. Me, I had afadhali vaginal. But yes, I don't know if I'd survive. Okay, no jokes. But it's also a lot. And so even like for the women who are healing from CSs and things like that, it takes time because they had to cut through all these layers of muscles to get to the baby, take the baby out, and then now pack back all those layers of muscle. Let's not forget that where the uterus, it's underneath all that. It's whatever it's underneath all that plus others. So yes, when you're depending on even the situation of your birth, the of actually having the child and everything like that. Again, how your birth went down, whether CS, whether vaginal, whatever, how the birth went down, that will also determine what you're able to do immediately after. So some people, they bounce back and they're like, oh, I can go to gym tomorrow. Oh, I can go to do this. There are people who can do that. For CS, I know because I think I have 3 or 4 of my friends and close family members who've been through CS. It takes a minute. So take that minute, heal fast, then do your thing. Because again, you also don't want opening of medicine.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, highly recommend postpartum yoga. Yes.
That's so cool. That's good to know. I also didn't know that. That was I think there's so much I don't know, man. So you can imagine, and I know stuff. I consider myself someone who knows things.
It's very knowledgeable. I also fell for the same because I was like, she just have a baby.
There's so much information that people don't know.
No, I like that thing. There's that thing on TikTok where there's a little. She finds all these crazy things that can happen. And I think last I saw that list, it was I think 180 CG plus.
Things that can happen when you have a baby.
Yeah, as a result of pregnancy or when you have a baby. I'm telling you, if you need to convince yourself to never have a child, go look at that list. Yes. So even we it's also nice for me because when I see people go no, me, I don't want to have a baby, I'm like, I respect you because you're like, hey, this thing, the way it look like me, I'm out. I respect that because having been in it, even me, I was like, hey, I'm an yache. Yes.
There's a time I used to binge watch on oh God, it was traumatizing. But anyway, so
it's okay. This is a safe space.
Is it?
At least for me, the cameras is we can have this.
At least there are people. At least I can say it because there are people like me who are pre-traumatized because of the things. They're like, we're not getting shit.
No, I want to make somewhere every year. Like for example, if Maya chooses that she wants to have babies, and she comes and tells me, Mom, how is it? Me, I'm telling her everything.
Yeah, I think it's better.
Go in when you are aware. Because even as aware as you are, you're still going to get surprised. Because everyone's pregnancy is different. Every pregnancy is different. Yeah. So if she's like, Mom, I think I want to have a baby.
You also have the list.
Sit down. Have a seat. Take some tea. Be warm. It's gonna take a minute.
That's helpful. Because like you said, Kwa TV, we used to see it a certain way, and then you go on the internet and people start saying, Sidri, what?
Even people have you been around any pregnant ladies?
Now I
yes. Waulize pole pole. Waulize tu pole pole.
Anyway, I think
it's what's current craving and umlete ile current craving. She'll tell you.
I think some things are a calling. Being a mom, and that's why we really need to respect mothers. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, growing a whole person, then realizing that person is their own person.
Yeah.
Nobody prepares you for that. You're like, this is my baby, my child. No, they're not. No. They pass through you. You are the conduit. That baby's not yours. They're the only person. Yeah. And I think it was also a culture shock for me to realize that. Yeah. It's like, it's good, but it's also like, wow, like really? Really?
And I imagine yoga helped. The whole detachment and everything.
No, I think, again, coming from cultures where like a lot of men are not as present and as involved as such, yes, it was good for him to make the effort. So like, for example, although nilimfukuza, the day I was in labor, he was like massaging like this, and I was like, girl. Like, oh, I love you, but what? I need it. That was not the time to baby me. That was not the time to be like, oh, Ishe, my wife. No. Yes, but but we got through it. The baby came, thankfully, safely. Actually, I was with Sharon in the delivery room. TBT. Yeah. And that was an experience. And then, of course, he came through, held the baby for the first time, looking at something that looks like you. It's also very strange because Maya looks a lot like a car.
Oh,
it's a lot. So yeah, and then also getting into like, oh, okay, then we go for clinic. So even like he did some of those, was taking her.
He's so
yeah,
present. And
yeah, he was doing stuff.
But they're always together. Every time he says a statement, I'm going to the village, I'm going with my daughter.
Oh yeah,
they are so tight.
That's their me time.
For sure.
No, that's they both love it. But tunaenda home. You should, they pack, they're getting ready, they stop somewhere, they go have lunch, they do the whole thing. And I'm very, very happy for that. Like I think I'm lucky that her father is in her life. Yes, I don't look at it as a thing that I deserve to have happened. Like I am thankful that happened that way. Yeah, and they have a good time on their own, which is good.
Yeah. Yes. When you get your own free time.
Yeah, me time is important.
Anyway, is there anything else, or we can call it a session?
I don't know. How are we supposed to close?
I'll close.
Oh, okay. So then I think the last thing I'll say is I think in anything, not just yoga, do your research. Do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. Yes. Take your time. Also, like, don't feel like you have to do the handstand in the first class. And if you can, wonderful. But take your time, being your body, give it a chance. Experience it for yourself. Like I don't like it when somebody says, "Oh, don't do it. Have you tried it?" No. Do you know anything? No. Have you done any research? No. If all your answers are no, please calm down. Please don't talk. Don't talk. Yes. But yeah, they're like, do your research, because a lot of people will feel, because I mean, religion is a very big part of people's lives, and there are people who really firmly believe that yoga, like legit, who really believe that. And I'm not here to change your mind, but it's like, hey, if it's a belief you can and you can stand behind that, wonderful for you. That is for you, not for everyone. Yeah. So I'm a very big fan of having your beliefs, doing your research, doing your things. I'm going to say that, yes, try it. If it's for you, wonderful. If it's not for you, leave it alone.
That's true. Because we are unique, and there are so many things in life. There are so many practices. There are so many tools. Just pick what works for you.
Exactly.
People alone also.
Exactly. Yeah. Leave other people. Let people be people.
Yeah.
Or rather, mind your business. Maybe it's not about you. I think even Roberta said that a lot. Like Bobby was like, something. It's not about you. By the way,
it's true.
It's possibly not. It's true. Even Pia, where we're just reverse. Kidogo tu.
Yeah.
But yeah. So do that. Do your research. Find out for yourself if something is right for you. Not just yoga, whatever else you're considering. And thank you for bringing me here to talk a lot about myself. Yes, and to talk a lot about Maya and Koa and you guys call him Jagero, about Jagero and
Koa.
Yes, sorry. You guys know you was Jagero. And Maya and talking about yoga. I think maybe next time I'd like to talk about like the African roots of yoga. That's something
we didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, and you know something I was missing.
Oh yeah, by the way, we didn't.
Because that was it.
Another opportunity.
Yes, please. Yes, let us bring it home. That's exciting. We talked about how India.
Yeah, we did that.
Let's talk about.
Contribute a lot. Like, let's not also. They did contribute a lot, but let's also acknowledge the other places as well.
That's true. Hey, we have to talk about the African version of it. I could talk to you forever. You have such good energy. And I
you.
swear I know
Thank
it's
you.
also because of the practice of yoga. Because now that I know that it gives a lot
To
of
me, it's
energy.
contributed. That's what I'm saying.
It
I
does.
feel like it has, it has its thing in a lot of
It's
areas of my life.
tentacles. Yeah.
Yes. And I think also part is because of the environment. I've been very blessed to have good people, family, friends, and things around me. So that's also a privilege I'm thankful for.
I mean, I feel like it's a privilege for them to be around you because you have
That's
such
the opposite.
such good vibes.
I mean, thank you, but it's very much the opposite. I feel like, but yeah, I like. I think maybe let's say it goes both ways.
Fair
Let's go
enough.
with that. Yes.
So thank you so much for coming and
Thank
honoring
you.
me with your presence. It's such a grand session. This has been.
Thank you for calling me here. Thank you for giving the African perspective of what wellness is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people doing what there's you, and then like even the African yoga I was talking about, they're doing a lot of work from an African context. What does wellness mean for us? And a lot of that movement is going on. All the WhatsApps.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful to be alive in this time and place. Yes, it's also sometimes like, what is going on in the world today? But on the other side, it's also nice.
That's true. Cool. So thank you also, dear audience, for joining us. We hope to see you in the next episode, especially the one we will be talking about the African yoga.
Yes,
The roots.
African roots of yoga, and then also the style of yoga, African yoga.
God, I'm looking so forward for that. I really need to learn about that.
No, actually, you talk good. Yes, for coming to our podcast. Don't do it like that.
Thank you for coming to our podcast. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, goodbye.